Welcome to This Week in Vexly. Starting off, we will review our Fed activity along with our liquidity outlook. Starting with CB swap lines, we saw a bump here along with some buying in the Fed overnight repo activity. These were both a positive for liquidity this week, along with the Fed sheet pausing in its asset drawdown. Seeing all this activity makes sense with the action and strength we saw in the market last week. Next, let's look at our Market View Returns tool. Here we saw another strong positive week across all three indices. Last week we saw IWM and QQQ outpace SPY, but let's take a closer look at the daily returns. Here we saw IWM outpace with positive returns early in the week, only to be the big loser on Friday. Granted, IWM was only down about 1% on the day, and still closed the week up 3.7%. Now let's review our heat maps from Friday's close. Remember, we are looking for spots that price reacted to positioning on Friday. These spots are marked based on color, which is either a dark purple or a tan white. This represents areas of highly positive or negative positioning. Here are the heat maps from Friday, starting with ES, NQ, RTY, and SPX. Now let's get into our ideas for next week. Starting off, we like Meta as a short going into this week. Our market maker model signaled a short bearish signal last week, and Pluto is currently neutral. This means we are looking for a possible move higher before shorting. Moving on to our gamma profile, we want to note that 300 is peak negative and positive gamma. If current positioning stays the same, we should see 300 act as a magnet this week. Next, we have our Vanna profile with a positive peak at 325 and negative peak at 300. These will stand as our current targets for this week. Moving down to our P1 skew, we can see it's deep negative. Looking further down, we have our weekly seasonality, which is mostly negative for this week of the year. Lastly, we have our VX levels. Last week we can see 310 was an important spot for price, and will be watched this week. For our second idea, we like ExxonMobil as a long going into this week. ExxonMobil is neutral on our market maker model, but is close to a long signal on our Pluto model. Moving to our gamma profile, we can see we have large amount of positive gamma, from 100 to 110 for this week. We can also see peak negative gamma is set at 100, therefore we want to see 100 act as a floor for COM this week. Moving down to our Vanna profile, we can see that peak positive is set at 110 and peak negative is 95. These will act as our breakout targets for the week ahead. Moving down to our skew model, we can see that majority of people are in puts for the week, meaning we could see large puts closing, which could help with a reversion trade. Now let's look at our weekly seasonality and point out how this is one for the strongest weeks for ExxonMobil out of the whole year. And finally, let's look at our VX levels for ExxonMobil. One thing to note is the bid we saw come in on Friday, just keeping ExxonMobil over 100. This will be an important spot to watch for the week ahead. To recap, we saw an increase in Fed liquidity this week, and very strong positive returns last week. But we have the possibility to pull back, or chop around for a few days. This would be overall healthy for the market, but we can't rule out we won't see more profit taking into next week that could lead to more downside. To recap our ideas, we like Meta short down to 300 and ExxonMobil long to 105 and possible to 110. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.